Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon from wherever you're watching, listening, streaming, illegally downloading, or just like basically eavesdropping from your neighbors. This is the Sit Down and Stand-Ups by Punchline Comedy Club Nairobi, and in this particular episode, I'm very excited to introduce what I call the triumvirate of comedy in East and Central Africa, actually East and Southern Africa. I'm very pleased to announce that I have long-time friends and people I've stalked for a very long time on the internet and in person through their homes that they do not know, and also this is a criminal activity. Eric Lusavali here, your host for the podcast. If you've not yet liked, subscribed, shared, what's the other thing they do? Press the bell notification button, hate yourself, not paid your rent, evading taxes, please do so. We need all the money that the government can squeeze from you. But I want to introduce my guests for this particular very special podcast. To my left is a brother, a father, a pilot, a stand-up comic, an organizer, a motivational speaker, Ahmed Dahal, Punchline Comedy Club Africa, Punchline Comedy Club Tanzania.
Thank you, my man. Hopefully I'm still a husband by the time I get back.
By the time you get back, by the time this podcast is done. And to my right, I actually have someone that a lot of people have for a very long time thought that we know each other, we've met, we've spoken. But like this was the first time we were meeting when he was landing in Kenya. My brother from another mother, a legend, a brother, a father, a person who needs a haircut desperately. Please welcome to the show, Mr. KG. How are you doing, sir?
Karibu
sana Nairobi, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's wild. People thought we knew each other and I thought you were somebody else.
Yes, mistaken identity. And it's even worse when someone thinks you're someone else and he thinks you're the enemy of that particular person.
That's wild.
So that's pretty crazy. You guys have been in Nairobi for a couple of days now.
Yes, sir.
But the thing that brought us all together, and this is through the power of the internet, is comedy.
Yes.
Is comedy. I think mid last year I met Ahmed. He was here for a very special show. These guys are actually here for a very special show. Our annual new school show where we usher in new comedians throughout the year, and they're able to participate in this particular event. You guys might not be able to see this, but we actually have comedians who are participating in the show behind the cameras right there. They look very bored because they're fed. That's why they should always be hungry. Let's start from the beginning. To each gentleman in like the briefest ways, how did you first fall in love with comedy?
For me, I've always been a fan, but just from afar, watching shows on TV, etc. And then Evans Bukuku,
yes, brother,
we met in over 20 years ago when we were young, before we were fuck-ups. So we kind of grew up together in a way, and I always enjoyed his company. He was always funny, and we lost touch. And then we met in Dar, and he had started the first comedy shows in Tanzania. And I went to his shows a few times, and it was awesome. I had such a great time. And then we lost touch again. And then we bumped into each other again after like 3-4 years. I was like, hey, my guy, it's been a long time. We need to do something. Yeah. It wasn't comedy, but it's just that we need to do something. Yeah. And then we kept on bumping into each other. And one day I invited over to the house and made a barbecue, burnt everything because we were deep in conversation. Yeah. Until today, I make a sick barbecue. But if you tell Evans that, it's like, nah, stocking shit, it burnt the sausages. It's like, how can you burn sausages?
It's like, trust me, if you put your sausage in the wrong, you will burn it. You will burn it. I guarantee you. This is what I've heard, guys. So, for those of you who are watching and are not sure, is that Evans Bukuku is a co-founder of Punchline Comedy Club Tanzania, Punchline Comedy Club Africa, and he was in episode 5 and 6 of this particular podcast. If you've not yet listened, if you've not yet watched that, please go on YouTube and do the thing. But you guys are talking over this burnt barbecue. I'll call it a burnt offering. What happens like with that?
So I had no idea of how to do comedy, how to do events. But what I know, I'm very good at logistics. I'm very good of operations. I'm very good at bringing things together.
He's very humble.
Yeah. So Evans is a master in kind of comedy, hosting events and things like that. So I was like, my man, let's bring this thing together. Your skill in the comedy space and my skill in organizing things, and then see what we can do. And then Punchline Africa was born. And from that, I was always the behind the scenes guy.
Yeah.
You know, never goes on stage, nothing like that. And then along that journey, I got the bug.
I think I'm going to come to that because I seem to remember we met just before. No, just after you'd started basically going on stage.
Yes.
So I'm going to go over to the other side and speak to the person who's been enjoying immense levels of electricity.
Oh, you have no idea. I have no idea what to do with myself. It's so good. Yeah, it's so good. Loving it here. For me, bro, there was this viral sketch show called the Pure Monate Show. It's called, like, translation is Pure Deliciousness, but it was viral, and it was on TV, right? And then we hear an ad. My girlfriend and I, who's now my wife now, we hear an ad that the same guys have a show. This is David Cow's show. It's called
Blacks Only, yeah.
They have a show at one of the theaters at the Empress Palace. So I had just bought my first car. And I was like, I'm taking the missus on a date. We're going to see dudes do sketch shows. I had never seen stand-up in my life.
And how long ago was this, without wanting to show KG's age?
2006.
Oh, thank God. I thought like in 1847.
No, bro, 2006. I just bought like a Golf 1, and we dressed inappropriately, man. Like church shoes, formal pants, ironed. I'm tucked in, like, and we arrive. And people are wearing jeans,
It's
like,
cash, yeah.
It's proper, like, and it shows. Oh my God, like I got seats in the third row, like, and David jumps on. He does the opening sort of link, and it's fire, bro. Brings on the first act, fire. That show had all the greats, Trevor Noah when he was coming up, Kagiso, Eugene Koza, like dudes that I look at and I go, wow, Joey Rasdeen. It was one of those, like, there was a proposal on stage and there was a level of free speech that I did not know existed.
Yeah.
And I drove home thinking, I can do that.
The mistake all comedians make, yes.
Inspired. I was inspired. I didn't think of it as something easy or trivial. I was inspired. I was like, you know what I mean? And also I had messed around with poetry and I was a terrible poet. I was bad as a poet. Oh, I was terrible. I never got any of these.
Yeah.
I got like the
you got all
like,
the okay.
What is he talking about? You know what I mean? Like I was in the movement. I had big hair. I called South Africa Azania. Yeah, I was
like
the whole shebang. The weed all the time. Oh man.
I like how we are never going to monetize this channel because there's drugs, sex, violence. So let me now step up and go. First time you take to the stage, and I want to go with someone like who had basically been in the ecosystem, organizing and all of that. So Ahmed, what was the thing that made you say, okay, I need to go on stage?
Okay, so I'm very passionate of this thing, and I'm looking at the bigger picture, the long game, as like young comics trying to do this thing, but trying to get them to a level where they can shine internationally.
Yes.
And being a student of stand-up comedy by watching, etc., I was also advising these young cats on what to do. And at some point, I was like, that's a bit pretentious of me.
Hypocritical, yeah.
Because it's like I'm giving them advice, but at some point they're gonna be like, "Dude, you don't know what it's
not
like.
On stage. You're not up there.
You know what I mean?" And then I was like, you know what? One day I just decided there was open mic, and I went up, and I had this joke. I remember that joke. I'll never forget that joke. I've never been so scared in my life.
Yeah.
I've never been so scared,
Yeah.
and I've done some scary shit.
Yeah.
I was on that stage. I was shaking. I don't know if the audience could see it, but I was trembling. My hand was like this. I was shaking. I don't remember if the people laughed or they didn't. I was just the feelings, emotions going through my head, and it was crazy. And I got off and I was like, wow.
Yes.
That was a ride. And it was like a minute and a half, bro. It felt like I was there for an hour.
I feel you. Yeah.
I like that description, because that description is exactly how most addicts describe the fast hit. and it is an addiction. Like, a lot of people laugh, but it is an addiction. KG, first time on stage.
I have to give you the setup, right? Okay. So how it happened with me is John Legend was in town.
Like the John Legend.
John Legend was in town. And we had bought tickets with our last money to go see John. My wife bought tickets to go see John Legend.
With your last money?
With our last money.
I am very concerned for your financial future.
This is before my birthday. So it's those vibes of we had just moved to Cape Town, kinda, and my birthday is coming up. This is the last money you're going to see John Legend. But throughout like the build up to whatever, I keep saying things like, I gotta join the Toastmasters so that I can do comedy. There's a comedy search television show, like So You Think You're Funny, on TV, and I go, I should have entered. You know those things.
Yes.
And then my wife finds like a comedy sort of school group, whatever, and she does all the work, sells the John Legend tickets online to somebody else, and gives me the money to go do the classes.
Were you married at this time?
No, we're not married.
This is your girlfriend still. Is that
She's
when
still
you
my
knew?
girl. We live together.
Is that when you knew this is the one?
Oh no, bro! Like, I had moved cities, I had moved provinces for this woman. I already knew that. I was just raising money for the dowry. That's basically what it was. So, I mean, I'm kind of mad that I'm not going to see John Legend, right? Yeah. But it's also like, she's so cool. The bug hasn't bit me from. Also, shit. I went to an open mic. There was a big comedy competition called the Grasa Comedy Festival. And when you win, you perform with like Pablo Francisco.
Oh, wow.
Who else was on the freaking lineup? There was like dope international Jim Jeffries. You know what I mean? That vibe. And I went. And when I was coming in, I heard dudes mentioning my name, which is, this is the list of the comics that are jumping on.
Yeah.
And I didn't say it was me. I remember paying cover charge when I'm not supposed to and sitting in the audience. I remember Rustam walking past me and going, where the fuck is this KG guy? Somebody call. And then I switched off my phone. Because I was so nervous. And then I watched dudes die and kill. Dumiso Lindi headlined that set.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We've had Dumiso Lindi episode 5 and episode 6 of this as well.
It was the first time I saw Dumiso Lindi. He did a dope Love in the Club bit, a dope Cinderella bit, and he was fire. And I was okay with the fact that I didn't.
You didn't go up.
And because I didn't jump on, my wife thought, oh, this nigga needs a school.
Yes.
You gotta go to school. I went to school. They had 12 lessons. I took 4. But after the first lesson, she was working out of town. I called and I was like, I found the thing that I'm Because I rolled up, they teach you like from let's build material, blah, blah, blah. I came in with my own material, bro. I came in with everything. And then they had like homework, and I looked at it and I was like, this is
that's not for me.
I think it helped me get gigs and introduced me to comics. But it was terrible.
Shout out to that school that made KG hate.
First day doing comedy, now to answer your question properly. I was nervous that whole week. Like, I've got a nerves issue.
Mm-hmm.
I still get nervous even today. Like, I proper almost puked at 2 grapes.
Yes.
Because I just can't. I can't handle. You know, like it's a lot. And on days where I don't feel like that, I worry because I feel like I'm not respecting.
Yeah, you're getting complacent.
You know what I mean?
Like, just to interject, 2 Grapes is our open mic room on Wednesdays. 2 Grapes, Wind Down Wednesday, longest running open mic room in Africa, and also best attended, average attendance of 156 people every week. Check us out if you've not done so. My producer Grace is looking at me and saying thumbs up because I forget to plug in things. Carry on.
Yeah, so that whole time, nerves, bro. But I have learned the set word for word.
Back and front, yes.
Word for word. The comedy club is dodgy as shit, but I'm grateful for it, right? It's a liquor store, a bottle store at the bottom. And the top, it's 2 floors. The top is a crèche, like kindergarten, right? So the backstage where comics are drinking beer and smoking and blah, 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 has got paintings of like...
Nursery school and giraffes.
School. You know what I mean? Like it's wild. It's like, this is the wrongest...
And you guys wonder why alcoholism is a problem in South Africa, because they start young, like with the giraffes.
But it's so cool. They've got their own money. They've got jokers' money. It's dope. Like it's like the stage beautiful. The room is. I think it is like it was the dopest room to start comedy in Cape Town, because like my first time was so good. It made me cocky immediately.
Yeah.
I killed my first set. And then the 5 sets after that, I was just dying. I was confused. Like what's happening? Going on? Yeah. You know what I mean? I even called the club again. Like, can I just come back to the club and see if these jokes still work? You know what I mean? Like, that vibe. Yeah, that's my first time.
It's always amazing to hear about like people's first times, and it's also amazing to hear about the first time they went on stage. Yes, intelligent man to my right, questionable intelligence to my front. But you guys have been in Nairobi for a couple of days. Yeah. You got here on Monday night. Yes. Yeah, and you got here on Tuesday night. Yeah. We've done a couple of shows, open mics. We've done Wind Down Wednesday, 2 Grapes, yes. And then we also did yesterday. This was Africa's Fast Clean Room. Yeah. Open mic. 1 mic stand at Brioche. What has that experience been like? Because you guys have played so many rooms. You guys have done so many shows. You've put together shows. You've been able to like do shows. You've organized shows. You've inspired new comedians. What was that experience like? Because Ahmed, you've played here before.
Yes.
But KG, this was your first time playing here.
Yes.
Yes.
For me, it was a great experience, bro. I think Wednesday was scary because I've always wanted to come to Nairobi. Yes. It's always been a thing of I want to go to Nairobi. And because of like I had a couple of failed attempts, even coming here was like touch and go. On the last day, I was like, yes, this is not meant to be.
We had an adventure on the last day.
I'm not meant to be in this country. That's fine. Another comic that's based here was even saying, why are you being superstitious about, you know what I mean? And when I was here, I was present to the idea of, I've wanted to come here so badly, I don't want to suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be shit at the thing that
I've really wanted. I've manifested, literally.
Yeah, I've manifested it. Now I'm shit at it. And then a couple of comics have been here and everybody returns going, you're going to have fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one that doesn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I want to go back and go, no, it's for real.
It's
you
for
guys,
real. It's real.
You're going to have...
I think one of the very important things to mention at this point is that KG and Ahmed, like I said in the beginning, are part of the Triumvirate. And what the Triumvirate is that we basically have this pipeline of stand-up comedy that we created. And this pipeline is an exchange of comedians across the three countries, South Africa, Kenya, and Tanzania. Yeah. And it's amazing that the person who has been very instrumental as our connection for South Africa had not been to Kenya. Because KG was sending comedians going, go to Kenya, you're going to have fun, it's going to be amazing. The thing that makes me feel like South Africans are very trusting or suckers is like no one ever said, have you been?
Oh no.
Because like you had not been here. You'd been to Dar es Salaam.
At all,
It was beautiful because even before we started talking, I'd already spoken to Ahmed and Evans and they had only good things to say. And they were like, you need to speak to KG. This guy is amazing. He's our connect. And if we're going to make this work, this was actually something I think, Ahmed, you remember we were sitting at that Turkish restaurant on the waterfront.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's
by Sleepway.
Yeah, by Slipway. Yeah. And Ahmed said, if this thing is going to work, this is like about 20 minutes from us meeting face to face. You're like, if this is going to work, we need to loop KG into this because he's the person who shares the same vision.
Yeah.
So it's great to have you here, brother. It's finally great, like basically have your presence here.
Yeah,
one of the things with KG is that when Evans and I started Punchline Africa, the first show, Evans said, you know what, I'm going to reach out to my brother in South Africa, KG Mokgadi, and tell him to come up, rock up with at least one other comic. Yeah. So he reached out to KG. It's like, yo, we want you to come up for a show. And KG was like, cool. So KG started asking around. Yeah. It's like, yo, is there any comedy in that side? Everybody was telling him, nah. There's no comedy.
Yeah.
They don't even speak English.
Yeah.
It's a fucker. Don't bother.
It's true. They don't.
There's no comedy. They don't speak any English, man.
Let's be honest, man. You're like right now. There's a deficit of English speaking Tanzanians in Tanzania. Like you're here.
Oh man. Yeah. So KG was like, he kept on asking people, and everybody was telling him there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But KG is the guy who was like, no, I'm gonna rock up. I don't care if there's nothing. I'm gonna rock up.
Do you know what was creepy about it? Is everybody was saying no. And I also wasn't sure of how much to trust Evans. Because Evans and I met through an actual pimp, right?
This is the story we want to hear. First, who was being pimped? Like you guys met through a pimp. We support all lifestyles here. Who was being pimped?
There was this lovely fat man. He sadly passed away from the States. His name is Joey Lee. Joey Lee did stand up. But he we didn't talk about it, but we Joey Lee, you know. And then he ran a nightclub. I remember we rocked up in a nightclub. He's like, hey, Jumpman, welcome. What do you want to do? Do you want to drink? You want bitches? What do you want? Do you know that vibe?
Yeah.
Big fat man, like very sweaty. I remember there's a photo of me sitting next to Joey Lee from the back, and it's just two baby elephants. You know, like it's... And he's bigger than me, like type of vibe. So Joey Lee says, I've got a friend from Tanzania. He's a comedian. You're gonna hang out with him.
Is this in South Africa?
This is in South Africa. Okay. This is in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And Evans comes through, and he doesn't want to get on stage. So it's that vibe of like a comedian that's coming in from out of town, and they don't want to. Yeah. And I go, oh, can I really trust this brother?
Guy, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we said, no, we'll collab. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll collab. It's alright. But the thing is, we never lost contact though. We just kept talking.
Yeah.
Like it moved from weird to, oh, this is normal.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Oh, this is normal. And there'd be like a riot, and you go, hey, I see there's a riot. Are you okay there?
Are you okay? Yeah.
Hey, dog, I see there's xenophobic violence going on. Like, are you,
Like,
what are you guys doing? You know what I mean?
I like how Evans is asking, there's a riot if KG is okay, and KG is stealing TVs. Like, yeah, bro, I'm fine. I have like 62-inch TV. We are good.
Yeah, and then he called, he said, no, we're doing this thing. We're doing this thing. I was like, oh, okay. Let me find out from dudes, and everybody was like, don't even go there. There's a comic that did his set in tons, and he didn't even have fun, and he was like, it's shit, don't even, There's a comic that went, I know all the comics in Tanzania.
No.
Yeah, I was like, fuck it, let's go see.
I think one of the things that is very interesting. So this is the love story of like Punchline. We didn't meet through pimps. We don't need that.
Oh yeah.
So here's what happened is that around the same time that we started,
yes,
I go on the internet and I find Punchline Comedy Club Tanzania.
Yes.
The first one I saw, it wasn't Africa first, it was Tanzania.
Yes.
And so I go on there and I look at the brand,
yes,
and they have our brand colors.
Oh man.
And I look at the logo, they have the same logo. I look at the website, and the things they're saying,
yes,
are basically the same things we are about. And I was so upset because I'm very wired.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's someone in my team who's leaking information.
Oh, snap.
So I take all my people and I'm like, here's the thing.
Yes.
I'm going to forgive you. You just need to say who it is. It's fine. This is cards on the table. I was not going to forgive them. This is cards on the table. Who the fuck is leaking information about this? Because this is not a coincidence. This is not happening. And everyone was like, bro, just like, have you slept? Like chill the fuck. So then I make a communication. I sent a message. I think Evans responded to the message. I was like, yo, listen, my name is Eric. Punchline Comedy Club, Nairobi.
Yes.
We need to talk.
Yeah.
Because my idea was, I was going to fly down and be like, okay, we're where we are.
Yes.
But who's the snitch?
Yeah.
I still believe there was someone who was looking. So then we start talking, and then we lose contact for a bit. And then it was last year. In the middle of last year, in the middle of last year, at some point in June or July, I am like, there's so many connections that we have made with like Zambia, yes, like Sudan, like proper Sudan and that sort of thing. Not even like South Sudan. This was proper Sudan, the US and that sort of thing. And I was like, the closest people to us are in Dar. Yeah. And I was like, these guys we align on so much. So what happens is that I call up these guys, we do a Zoom call, I tell them, there is a grant that is coming out. And if it is possible, it would be great for us to collaborate because we align on so many things. Yeah. And we apply for this grant, like these guys go off, they have a chat, we apply for this grant, and then they knock us out on a technicality. And I was like, this makes no sense. What the fuck is this? This makes no sense. They knocked us out on a technicality. But then having spoken to these guys, I was like, oh, because now we're talking, we're becoming friendly. And Ahmed is like, oh, do you have sponsors? I'm like, no, I don't have sponsors. And he's like, how do you put together your shows? I'm like, I pay for everything. And I'm like, how do you guys do it? He's like, we pay for everything. And so we're seeing all these alignment and we're like, we're trying to bring up these new comedians. We're trying to do this. So at that point in time, I'm in the US and I tell my wife, as soon as we get back to Nairobi, I'm going to be in Nairobi for 4 days and then I'm flying to Dar es Salaam. So I fly off to Dar and we just meet and it's like kindred spirits. Like everything we're saying, like, oh, and we're finishing each other's words. That's why we didn't need pimps. Like we're finishing it as we're staring into each other's eyes. And then at that particular time, we had sort of like, especially from this side, we had several comedians from Tanzania who we had said, oh, do you want to visit Kenya? But the stars had not aligned because there was a lot of like, I'm glad things didn't align because there was a lot that would have gone very, very wrong. And eventually I start talking to this young cat, and his name is Hamis Mude.
Yes.
And I'm like, would you want to come to Kenya?
Yeah.
And he's like, I would love to come to Kenya, but you have to get the blessing of Punchline Tanzania.
Yes.
And I was like, this is the right dude, because everyone else was like, yo, I'm going to do it. And we had written all these invitation letters. We had basically sent like formal sealed like invitations.
Oh, wow.
We had sent someone money to actually get his passport processed. It was really crazy. Bro. So by the time we meet, like, I think I spent 10 days in Dar, yeah?
Yeah, you spent about a week.
I spent about a week in Dar es Salaam, and by the time we were leaving, it was just like, everything is all sorted. And the week after I left, Hamis was on a flight to Nairobi.
Dude.
And like the ideas, I think for me, the most beautiful thing is that the ethos, the ideas, the drive, the passion, the sacrifices were all aligned. I still think there's a snitch.
The brother told me exactly what you just told me.
And I know who the snitch is. It's our DJ, OCS. That man can't keep his mouth shut. No, I'm kidding. He's
That's not OCS. It's too sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, OCS is
That's the one you need to like watch for.
I am looking. Maybe Grace.
Yes.
Maybe
yes.
Grace has, feels like
yeah. She's worked in TV too much. But I feel like this is a good point for us to like, because you guys have been here for a couple of days. We've had all these very in-depth conversations.
Yes.
We've basically eaten together. We've drank together. We've been able to like just break bread, and that's a beautiful thing. In your own words, I would want you guys to describe what this pipeline is. I'll start with Ahmed.
For me, man, this is the future to creating comedic legends of the continent. You know, Africa has a lot to say. And there's not a lot of our voices out there in the world. So pipelines like this will be able to set that path where it can create people that will be able to take the voices of Africa to the world. Yeah.
KG?
Dude, it's so weird. Like, for me, like, I'm one of those, like, my politics are for Africans just doing their own things.
Yeah.
I am not anti anyone. I'm sitting at that space where I'm inspired by African musicians.
Yes.
African musicians, for me, show us that you can collaborate, you can be great together.
Together, yes.
I like that African musicians live in their home countries, but they work in the world.
Yes.
And I want that for comedy. I want that. I'm inspired by a Trevor Noah, right? But I also have that thing of we might not be able to create another one.
Yes.
But we can create intentionally African superstars here.
For Africa, yeah.
For Africa, that will hit global success.
Yes.
We can create a Black Coffee, a Burna Boy, a Wizkid, a
Soul,
Sauti Soul.
yeah.
We can create those things. So I'm enrolled in the idea of creating. My fear is maybe I won't be alive to enjoy that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I've got a fear of I won't be alive to enjoy that. But I dream of leaving South Africa and getting into Zim and doing a one-man show in two cities.
Yes.
And as soon as I'm out of South Africa, there's a Zimbabwean that just rocked up in South Africa.
Yes.
And then the next week, there's a Kenyan rocking
Yes.
up. And then by the time I get to Dar es Salaam, there's already been this
Cyclic
movement going
yeah.
on. You understand?
Yeah.
It's such like a romantic idea for me. For that to happen. I look at comics from America, from the UK, from Australia. They don't even have to leave their continent.
Yeah. Sometimes not even the state.
You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not anti-American. I'm not anti-British. I'm just pro the idea that I can wake up and go to Kenya and tell jokes. And it's wild because I don't even have to take Kenyans on a journey. I don't have to take Tanzanians on a journey of anything. As soon as I open my mouth, they know exactly what I'm talking about. So my audience is so much bigger right now. And it's just like I'm in the middle of a dream come true type of vibe. This is dope.
I think we were having this conversation with Grace when we were picking you up, and the conversation was there is a price to pioneership.
Yes.
And that price to pioneership is always quite high. So when you say you may not be alive to see this come to fruition, for me, that is not. So I was having like Ndumiso Lendi, big shout out to Ndumiso, man. That guy is a brother. He's a friend. Ndumiso and I were having lots of conversation. And at a certain point in time, I was in a very conflicted place. And I was like, I may do all of this. We may do all of this. We may sacrifice all of this. And no one is ever going to recognize or acknowledge it. And he was like, but that's the beauty of it, is that it is not about acknowledgement or building or getting recognition. It's about knowing that you have something that lives beyond you. And it does not necessarily have to benefit you, but it creates steps and ladders and opportunities for other people. And the continent,
for sure.
For me, as you say, you're not anti anyone. I'm not anti anyone, but I'm pro. I am pro African. As a person who was not born on the continent, but had parents who were very pan-Africanist. Like I always say that, I think I can say this now. I always say this is that my parents, while they were basically in the UK, used to send money to the ANC.
Oh, that's dope.
They used to make contribution for the ANC. And for me, that was very inspiring because I always thought Pan-Africanism is about making one Africa. And then I realized that's not a political game that we're going to win. The way we're going to do it is by breaking those borders culturally. Like by being able to have that exchange, by being able to sit here. What we are discussing and what we have done so far has created more Pan-Africanism than 600 leaders sitting in a place and trying to talk about, we need to move this border here, because it's never going to happen.
But this is why the musicians are killing.
Yes.
This is why I look at the musicians and I go,
wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a musician from Tanzania makes a song with a musician from the Congo. And all of a sudden, these people are just getting together. And
even the level of respect. There was a festival, I think, a couple of weeks ago in Rwanda, and Diamond from Tanzania rocked up, and he was there, with the president. And it wasn't even formal. It was just the president had sleeves turned up, chilling vibe, high-fiving, and I was like, oh, that power. It's just...
Dude... So we are able to create that. I believe wholeheartedly that we can do it.
I feel like it's a really good place to jump into some of the, because we've had these conversations. I think it's one of those things whereby we're always like, Ahmed and I have hour-long conversations. Sometimes like my wife and I are having dinner and like Ahmed calls or I call him and she's like, I'm going to warm this for you later, and just disappear. So I think this conversation can go for a long time, but I want to acknowledge this because a lot of times we don't say this. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. What you guys are doing for the continent and for the arts is something that will live beyond us and will be seen at some point. And I just want to make sure that you get your flowers right now while you're here.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, my man.
Which very quickly brings us, because my producer is looking at me, it brings us very quickly to a couple of questions that we have a lot of the younger comedians who've been asking. Because this is always an opportunity. One of the beauties about this exchange is that it's an opportunity to share some of our experiences, some of the mistakes that we've made. And having you two here allows me to actually ask some of the questions that have come through. And the very first question that has just come through right now, this is like hilarious because it comes from someone who's very new to the scene. And the question that they have is, what are your writing processes? Like, how do you write your jokes? Like, what inspires those? What moments? How do you recognize that, like, creative streak?
I don't know. I don't know what I do. I know that I can write a joke. I'm very arrogant about it. I'm not outwardly arrogant to people. I'm arrogant with me.
Yourself,
I feel it like when I need to write a bit about something, it will come. Right?
Yeah.
So even when I do bits for people, I give them away freely because I believe there's abundance.
There's more than it's not
a thing. It's
Yeah.
just abundance, right? So what I do is something happens, and I generally ask myself, how do I really feel about this situation? Not punchlines. I'm not looking for punchlines. I'm looking for how I authentically feel about this. Because funny isn't everything.
Yeah.
I like it, funny. I don't like it, funny.
Funny.
I don't care, funny. But if I am authentic, then I don't need to like. So whenever I say something, I believe it wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I'm okay when people go, but this is not factual. I'm okay with changing that.
Yes.
But my writing process is literally based in how do you feel?
Oh wow. I think I know why you have so much confidence and how you might have. We were talking about this. We know witchcraft when we see it. We know when your ancestors are helping you.
It's
bro.
got
You
blessings. It's got
Oh,
blessings.
this
no.
one is like
Oh no! I chat to them all the time. Hey man,
Ahmed, what is your process?
So I'm not very creative.
I do not believe that.
No, I'm not a creative mind. The thing with me is I was struggling looking for the funny, and I think I see it in a lot of young comics. Everybody's chasing the funny, and they're leaving a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that, like, oh, I need to make people laugh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then over the last couple of years of doing this, having a lot of conversations with KG, like the conversations I have with KG about gags is not like, what do you think of this joke or whatever? It's more like, it's just conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
We would just dissect things.
Yeah.
And by having those conversations, you start seeing funny.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You start looking at a subject differently.
Yeah.
So one of the things I learned was come of a place of familiarity, which means something which is your truth.
Yes.
So dig into your life. And then when you start digging into your own life, you find that you have a lot of personal and interesting stories.
Yes.
Yes.
And then there's a lot of potential of funny. And the beauty of that is, I've found for me, when I go on stage and delivering those stories, it is someone else's reality as well.
There is relatability.
Yeah. So when there's relatability,
it just pops
it
off.
works.
I feel.
Can I just say one thing? I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Because this is very important and it helped me a lot when I started. So I go with integrity, right? This is how I feel about the thing. But added to that, what I also do is I saw an interview with Ron Atkinson, Mr. Bean. And they were asking him, how did you create
Mr. Bean, yeah.
And he said, all we did is that we had this character and we'd go put him in a church. Let's see what he will do. And then they would pick up every random thing that he would do and then cut out the bullshit and be left with the funny stuff. So this is how I feel. I like it. Funny. Yeah. Right? I'm in the situation. What I do now is that I look at all the possible
angles, all the possible
angles
avenues,
of the thing, and then once I have the angles, I cut out the bullshit, and this is what you put out there. Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
I think that's like a beautiful answer. And the next question I have is, we've seen a lot like of people who write, and you write a lot, and maybe this is again repeating this, but someone asked, how do you recognize that, okay, this is a banger, this one this is hot, this is going to be good?
Experience.
Yeah?
Experience. You gotta be in the game. There's a lot of times you think about a joke and it still happens to me, and you go on stage, you're like, ha! And they're like,
nothing. Yes.
Right? Sometimes it's because of how you said the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Sometimes, and for me, because I go with what I feel first, sometimes I'm not phrasing it correctly.
Oh.
Right? Sometimes my English minutes, English sometimes doesn't like us. So sometimes I just chose the wrong word, blah, blah. But after you've done stand-up for a while, you get to a point where you just know.
No.
And then something else that happens is that you become funnier than your words. It is you who are funny, not the words.
Not the words you're saying, yeah.
Yeah. So just because you are funny, the thing comes out
funny.
You know what I mean? After a while, when you perform, the audience trusts you. When you walk on the stage and you're confident and they trust you, you can feel like these people trust me.
These people trust me, yeah.
And as soon as you have that, it's easy to say a thing and have it be funny more often than not.
Ahmed?
Yeah, so what was the question again?
When do you know? Like you
when it's a banger.
Yeah.
I do agree with KG saying about experience.
Mm-hmm.
For me, every time I do a thing, I might write it and I'm like, oh, this is going to get them. Oh, yeah.
We've all been there.
Oh, this one. Oh, it's going to kick.
Yeah.
And you hit in there, boom, nothing.
Yes.
Sure. And the beauty of it is, immediately, you know.
Yeah.
And it's weird with the comic's mind because on this side of the brain, you're thinking of the gag. On this side of the brain, you're looking at the audience and hearing their response. And on the other side of the brain, sometimes like, why is it not working? This was supposed to be funny. So it's like your head, there's a lot of things going on at the same time. And then immediately after coming off on stage, I know exactly where was the problem. And the funny thing is, 5 minutes before, I didn't have this information. It's like I was like, this is a killer, this is a banger. And immediately after, I was like, damn, I need to change here. Before even having a conversation with anyone, you already know. So, and I think with time, when you do get a lot of hours on stage, that's when you get to that space where it's like you can determine if this is a bang or not. Before you even try it. Because you've been through this process so many times.
It's like a boxer now. You know when that's coming.
Yeah.
One of the things that I feel would be very crucial to ask at this particular point in time, because KG, you've spoken about this. I think Ahmed, you've spoken about. I've seen you speak about it in Dar es Salaam. I've seen you speak to some comedians here while you guys were here. Is presentation.
Yeah.
I think we've mentioned a lot, and I always say this, is that we're not in the business of comedy, we're in the business of entertainment.
Yeah.
I would want you guys to touch a little about especially new comedians and how they present themselves on stage. This means the way they're dressing, their posture, that sort of thing. Because I think we've had one of the challenges that we have here, and you mentioned this a lot, is that it's not that the jokes are not there. It's not that you're not funny. It's not that you're not doing the delivery. It's that when you get on stage, you're not...
It's a magic show. Right? It's a magic show.
Gotta wow the people.
For the magic to work, everything has to be in line.
Yeah.
This includes the way you look. Right? This includes the way you look. So, if you're looking raggedy, remember the comedy fans they're different.
Yeah.
And in a lot of, also like comedy as an art belongs to people who like to dress up and go do the thing.
Yeah.
This is Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. People leave work. They're already looking good to come to you. When you look like shit, you look like you're disrespecting them.
Yeah,
Minor, please take note.
Right?
Minor, you look like shit all the time. I think plastic surgery is what's going to help you do that. There's a picture of Minor right now looking like he's begging for arms.
But then there's this vibe where he's looking like a buddying preacher. These are the things that you gotta look at. It's like you yesterday, you were looking like a church person, right? And it's there are people that can
we just
get
got
away
cancelled
with
by the church. Thank you, KG.
Yeah, you were literally like looking like a youth pastor. And the whole time I was looking, I was like, something is bothering me.
Yeah.
Right? Like something, as I'm looking at you, because I'm an audience member as well. And I go, but something is bothering me about this guy. Right? It's not that he's not funny.
Yeah.
But this youth pastorish
Vibe is not giving.
You know what I mean? So it's things that you learn as you go along. If you just
roll your sleeves.
Yeah, and some people can get away with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But some people need to roll their sleeves.
Yeah.
Right? Even Zbugugu used to wear formal shoes.
Yes.
He used to wear full-on formal suit shoes. And the same thing I used to... Something is bothering me about events. And then we went, yo, just put sneakers.
Yeah.
Just put sneakers and see. Right? There's a comic that went off stage yesterday and I went, take off a jersey.
That was Nathan Rere.
Dude.
Yes.
The dude took off a jersey and he was a different human being.
Yeah.
Like, is he performing on Saturday?
No, he's not performing on Saturday.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to seeing this dude perform without a jersey.
It's funny that you guys are mentioning this because we had this exact same conversation with Chris Mapane.
Yeah.
And Chris Mapane was like, you need to understand that this is a show.
It's a show.
You need to understand that you show up. Yeah. So Chris Mapane gave us some notes and he was like, if you're coming from work, have a spare outfit.
Yes.
Change from that outfit and go on.
Yeah.
And it... personally, I took that and it just switched and changed everything. However, you have like younger comedians who are like, we have this school of thought that's basically been in Kenya for a lot. Is like, people are here for comedy. Yeah. They don't care about anything else. And I keep telling everyone, they do. So people are like, it doesn't matter what the stage looks like. It doesn't matter what the lighting looks like.
Think of it this way. You got a job. Yeah? You wake up in the morning. You don't put on shorts and raggedy clothes.
Yes.
You put a nice shirt, you put on nice shoes, you tuck in.
Yes.
Even if you're not a tucker.
Yes.
But you'll tuck in. You'll show up with a nice press shirt. Why? Because you're getting paid.
Yes.
To do it. You have to respect the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the audience, remember, the audience are paying members. They're paying to come see you.
Yes.
So show some respect.
They're your boss.
And level up.
Yes.
You know, this business of shorts and whatever, it's disrespectful. This attitude of, they're here for the comedy
For the
and whatever.
jokes, yeah.
Yes.
No, you gotta, there's one word you have to remember, whether you're a guy or a girl, sexy.
Dude, I'm present to like some advice that people, based on what you said, some advice that I was given a long time ago. We're not in competition with each other.
Yes.
We're not in competition with each other. We're in competition with the musicians. We're in competition.
Please say that loud for the people in the back.
Competition with the movie theater. We're in competition with poetry nights, with just dinner. That's the competition. People literally go, do we do comedy? Do we do that? And when they go to see musicians are dressed up. They're looking good. Their shit's together. So
I want you to say that again.
If we can't even look good for the thing, we are losing, dog.
I want you to say that again because it is something I repeat over and over again, and it's. I think it comes off better if you are chunky. Like, I think people don't respect me.
Dude, but that's what it is. The competition is not other comedians.
It's not us.
No.
It's Sauti Soul. You'll go see Sauti Soul. There's fireworks. They're wearing like you're like, yo.
And when they come back, they go, it was a show.
Yes.
You're putting on a show. That's what it is. A show. That's the magic show part. You're putting on a show. And if it doesn't have all the things, you are losing big time.
Because the illusion just
and it doesn't have to be. The nice thing about stand-up, because it's based on free speech and and renegadeness and what have you, is that it doesn't even have to be expensive.
Yes.
Right? It just needs to look neat and put together.
Yes.
Just put together yourself nicely. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I like that you said something that leads us to the next question. We're quickly running out of time, but the question that we have is, and this for me is always very important, is that we play a very important role by being on that stage.
Yes.
And I love Deo Gracias, who said something. He said, we go beyond just telling jokes.
Yes.
Comedians are modern day philosophers, and they're the people who point out this is what's happening around us. They're not saying we're giving solutions. They're just saying this is what's happening.
Yeah.
What's your take on what is happening around, especially right now when we talk about societal issues, but more than anything, let's talk about something like what's happening in West Africa. There's a lot of coups that are happening. What is the role of comedy in talking about what is happening around us? I think I'll start with you, Ahmed.
Yeah, so for me, I'm a very young comic. And being a young comic, I'm very humble in my abilities. And I'm at that stage where I can comfortably, go into my own personal stories in comedy. I aim to be at that stage where I can look at current affairs and then be able to make comedy out of it. Mentally, I'm not there yet.
I think, if I can just interrupt, I think for me, it's not really like we're saying, oh, comedians are talking about coups, they're talking about this. I'm just talking about even your own experiences. Because when you talk about your relationships, when you talk about your work, you are addressing things that are in society, because the relationships are not removed from society. It's not like your relationship is distinct.
Yeah.
It's still within that
the same society.
Those, like, just the voice. That's the question that I have. What is the role of comedians in providing a voice for whatever is going on around them, like in and around them? What do you feel that is?
It's doing the thing, man. It's doing the thing. It's having more comics that can address that. The only thing is, these things are complicated. Yeah. So, you have to be a comic that has the knowledge.
Yes.
To be able to weave in and talk about it. Because comedy is awesome, but at the same time, don't talk about something you don't know.
You don't know,
You know what I mean? Because you're not doing it justice. If you have more knowledge of it, one of the things that KG always tells me is, like, if you're talking about something and maybe there's something about a medication in the thing, and or a disease or something, Google that shit.
Yes.
Find out what it is. How it's made, how it's caused. Go deeper, even if you're not going to use that information, but now you're more informed.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff happening online, and you can see for comedians to be able to provide a voice about this, those comedians have to dive in and understand. For example, Niger, what's happening there, understand that conflict.
Yes.
Why?
Why
is it like that? Understand the history, of the French role as a colony, as a colonial power in that region from pre-independence, and what is the independence in Niger? Is it really independence or is it not? And then you look at Burkina Faso and you look at this and all these connecting dots. It's a huge thing, man.
It is.
You know what I mean? And for a comic to dive in, you have to understand geopolitics.
Yes.
You really need to study this stuff so that when you bring it out there, it's like...
It's Here's one thing I do not like. I do not like a cursory take on subjects by comedians.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, and I always say this, there's a reason that comedy happens on a stage.
Yes.
It's because as soon as you stand on that platform, there is a power and responsibility that you have.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So you cannot be up there and you're flippant about any issue, or you're discussing something that you do not have enough ammo for.
Absolutely.
So I have had engagements with people like off stage, and they're like, they challenge me on something, and I'm like, I am so glad you did this. Why? because I was ready.
I got you. Yeah.
As opposed to, I have seen comedians apologizing for something they said on stage simply because they did not have enough information about what is happening. What's your take, KG?
Dude, I do comedy with my philosophy completely is of humility, right?
Yes.
I don't think with humility you can be a good comedian. So I do jokes very well aware that I could be wrong.
Yes.
I'm okay with being wrong. So I do the work. I'm okay with being wrong.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not afraid of it. So I don't live in this fear. What has happened, I think in South Africa and many other countries, is that people have lost trust in the governments.
Yes.
They've lost trust in the experts.
Yeah.
And the only voice that seems to make sense is the rogue voice of a comedian who is not even knowledgeable
about
in those things.
Yes.
But because the comedian is more authentic, right? And then there's the pressure of that. The pressure that comes with, dude, I studied programming many years ago. I doubt they still program the language.
C-sharp.
I did C-sharps and the Javas. I doubt they still do that shit right now, right? And when I get to an interview, they'll go, "What do you think?" Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
What do you think about
What do you think about the conflict on the Sahel region?
Dude, this is so much pressure
Yeah.
for a new comic.
Yes.
This is so much pressure for an established
comic. Yeah.
So when you do those things, be okay with being wrong. I do political material. The reason why I do political material is because I like politics. I actually like politics. I enjoy it. I want to talk about it. Do you know what I mean? Am I an expert? Not the fuck, bro. I am a layman. I talk about it from a layman's point of view. So if I were to deal with the Sahel, I would deal with it from the very same way a layman does, because my audience knows I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
And I start by
saying I could be wrong.
I don't know what you guys think, but
I like to use something that Malcolm X said.
Yes.
Malcolm X said, "I want to be remembered as a man who was sincere."
Yes.
Even if I was wrong, I was wrong. I was sincere.
Yes.
Being wrong. I want you to remember me as a man who was wrong, but from a point that was sincere.
Yes.
Yeah. Even if I was wrong, from sincerity. That's where he always. And for me, as a comedian, one of the things I always say is, it's amazing how high the bar is for comedians.
Yes.
And the thing is, think about it. If Sauti Soul came here, they can play the same song they've been playing for 10 years.
Yes.
And it's still okay. But for a comedian, for you to go on that stage and repeat that joke 3 times,
the
people
pressure.
are like, "What are you doing?"
We don't even have the pressure that hip hop has.
Yes.
No.
Right? We don't have that. They will tell people, the audiences will tell you that a comedian has to be intelligent.
Exactly.
Do you understand? So you come into the game with all the baggage. And I'm not complaining about it. This is the game.
Yeah.
When you get into the game, this is the game.
You chose
These are the rules. You chose this, and that's how it works, right? But you have to be aware that it exists. You have to be aware that these are the rules, and you have to be okay with, you're not gonna get it right. You're not gonna understand geopolitics completely. There are too many moving parts.
Yes.
There's too many countries invested in the Sahel, for example. There's too much money we never gonna know. Our job is to question the little parts that we see hanging around, that other people might not see. And that's only if you do politics. If you do cereal, do cereal. If you do
religion,
do religion. our job is to come in and look at the religion and go, I'm
not sure about
this wine and ice cream cone business. You understand?
The thing as well is, I like to remind audiences that comedians are mirrors to society.
Yes.
We don't provide our own image. We reflect back what that is.
Yes.
And that reflection is based off how we interpret it.
Yes.
So we're not saying this is bad or this is good. We're like, this is a convex mirror.
Yes.
So it's going to show this.
Yes.
This is a concave mirror. It's going to show this. This is one of those, like, if you go to a fair, this is one of those mirrors that make you look long. This is going, but that mirror does not have a long person in it.
Dude, you're reflecting the environment. You are reporting, because people don't trust reporters anymore. So they're looking for voice. The masses are looking for... Dude, if there are no leaders, people will be led by anything.
We've seen a comedian leading Ukraine, so...
We've seen a comedian in Ukraine, bro. So it's that of going, people are looking for a thing. Right? They don't trust the leaders.
Yeah.
And right now, I think we are the last ones left, or the loudest noise, because hip-hop is gone.
Hip-hop's gone, yeah.
Poetry doesn't have
the legs to do it.
You know what I mean? And it should have. And I love all those art forms. But right now, you feel like comedy is the only space that has the voice for now. Yeah. We're going to get compromised. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see.
No, there's lots of cancel culture. There's lots of like different things. And I'm looking at our clock and we're running out. We have a show that's happening. By the time this podcast comes out, we'll already have had that show. But we have a show that's happening tomorrow. New School is happening tomorrow at 2 Grapes. What are you looking forward to? What are your expectations? What's the vibe? Not only about the show, but about the city as well. It's just like you're always a back and forth. You're an Arusha boy. You're always like, Kenya is almost a second home. If you want, we can hook you up with an ID. But like you're back and forth. But this is your second time here in the comedy space. What are your thoughts? What's your take? What can we do? What are we doing that's good? What can we do better?
My guy, I'm so impressed with how well it's grown from the first time I was here, which was a year ago.
Exactly a year ago.
September last year, and it's amazing. The numbers you're doing on a Wednesday,
dude.
I'm like, what? Dude. And the people rocking up, and they're there for the thing. Yes. They're not just, they're
locked in.
They're locked in. They had a plan. We're going out. We're gonna have a good time. And, it was a long show. And people were there all the way to the end. And people were having a good time. They were having fun. And I just loved it. And just looking forward to Saturday and just want to have fun. It's beautiful, man.
KG, first time Nairobi comedy. What are your impressions? Should we just shut the whole thing down and go back to our villages? Mine are for you, you can. So, like...
Your nightclub scene is terrible.
Thank you.
Do better.
Thank you, sir.
It's terrible.
Thank you.
Nairobi
We've worked very hard to make sure.
Nairobi is a big city. It is unacceptable that I cannot find a place to go drink and dance on a Wednesday. That's some bullshit.
I want you to look into your camera and speak to, like, we have friends who actually own nightclubs. Hungai and Evans own Cavalli. Speak to that camera. Speak to them. I'll send them this clip.
Evans, thank you very much for the tequilas on Wednesday, but your city has to do better. We're there tomorrow, right?
Tonight, yes.
Woo-wee! I'm looking forward to it. As far as the comedy is concerned, dude, I want to have fun. I'm going to have fun. Guys, I'm going to kill. On Saturday, if you are going after me, you're fucked.
Those are the ancestors talking. It's not him.
I want to be clear with you now. I'm not like, if you're going after me, you're fucked. I'm killing on Saturday. End of story. Like, because I've had a taste on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I had a taste yesterday, so I know what the levels are. I am going to. You guys are fucked.
Kenyans,
there are jokes I have saved specifically for Saturday. Right? like I'm trying not to repeat sets. I'm trying to.
Okay, so having threatened all the comedians, what are your thoughts on the scene so far? What can we do better? What are we doing that's right? How do we improve this?
Dude, you just keep going. It's dope for me that you have got so many open micers and the audiences are there for it.
Yes.
So your audience is already saying, we see what you're doing and we are enrolled and we will fuck with it.
Yeah.
Because they don't even leave in the middle of the show. They don't. Right? Like these are new people and some of them are dying, but the audience is like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're here for death. Yeah.
And it's okay. You gotta die. You gotta die now. Get all your deaths out of the way now. So that you are funnier in a couple of months. You understand? It's dope. Just keep doing what you're doing. Like it's yeah. We should get together and talk about writing, how to write, how to frame things. My concern will be we need to get enough headliners out.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of comics. So we gotta have headliners now, we gotta have support acts.
Yes.
And that is performance and material.
Yeah.
So what needs to happen is that there has to be a way where we go, how do we make sure that these dudes are funnier in a shorter space
period
of time?
Yeah.
That way the audience can see people grow. What they've done with like the Hamisis and Leonardos, I saw them when they were bad. When they were ass, bruh. Like it was terrible. But now they are murderers. They're murdering across countries and it's beautiful to see.
I like that you have thrown the gauntlet because we also have killers amongst us. Oh. So as you threaten us, just know when you follow some of the people that are in this room and some that are not, you also have to bring it. I can guarantee you.
But niggas, I'm Achilles. Bring your
it's on like Donkey Kong. I feel like that's a great place for us to end this particular podcast. My producer is saying we've run just over an hour, almost 1 hour and a quarter of it. But I want to send a special shout out to a couple of people who make comedy possible in this country. I want to send a shout out to all the comedians who basically show up, all the new comedians, all the older comedians that are out there. I also want to thank the venues that basically just are able to accommodate us and make sure that we have space to play. I want to thank all the audiences that we see, everyone who comes out and supports comedy, everyone who pays money to actually come out and support comedy and see that. But more than anything, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go on there. There's lots of comedy that you can basically consume. Come out for actual shows. It's good for you to have your presence there. You can follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram. Our website is the dopest website. Sorry, Ahmed. Our website is the dopest website we have in Africa. This is actually a quote from the owners of the Comedy Cellar. They looked at our website and they were like, this is the best website we've ever seen.
Oh, shit.
Yes. Yes. So we have special issue merchandise that's going to be coming out tomorrow. You guys can see there's a bottle on that side. There's a bottle on that side.
Dope.
I believe they're all going to be on sale. It's basically like an exclusive sale so that a lot of people can try and get as much merch with them as possible. But over and above everything, I am very grateful for the two gentlemen who are seated here. This is your time for you guys to give your final piece to the comedy world and to your fans who will be seeing you very, very soon across Africa and the world. Yeah. KG?
But thank you for your support. Thank you for being part of our lives. You're helping us feed our families. Thank you very much. Wherever you are in the world, we like to have you in the continent. If you're a comic looking to play, we're building this for you too so that you can leave wherever you are and go, I'm looking for a world-class stage in Africa. It's for everybody. Yeah, thank you. That's all I have. Thank you for having me here.
Very welcome, KG. It's amazing. Thank you.
Dope. Big respect.
Thank you.
That's it.
Ahmed?
As always, Eric, thank you very much, my man. Really appreciate what you're doing. Want to give my shout out to all the fans in Nairobi that come and support the shows. We love you guys. You're the reason why we do this. To all the comics, keep on doing the thing. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. And come through. Tanzania, we're doing the thing. South Africa, and Kenya, all over. And let's have shows now. South Sudan, there's shows. And
South Sudan.
It's beautiful. It's like it's like when you're looking from space and you see that's the continent and it's like there's no lights. And then suddenly you see the little light there. They start popping. It's like, you know what I mean? And then slowly it's like the whole continent is lit. You know what I mean? The comedy lights. You know. So it's a beautiful thing, and we want to thank everyone. Yeah.
This has been the Sit Down with Stand-Ups by Punchline Comedy Club Nairobi. We are very happy to have our brothers here. If you've not done so, please subscribe, like, follow, share. Like what's the former Gabonese president said, make noise.
Make noise.
Make noise.
Make noise.
All our friends.
All our friends. Make noise.
Make noise.
All our
Make noise.
friends.
Make noise.
Make noise. It's always fun to do this. There's many episodes coming. We still have more episodes that basically are banked. I want to thank our producer, Miss Grace Adiambo, for always doing an amazing job. Our audio engineer is none other than Selector OCS, the baddest DJ in the land when it comes to comedy, but also just when it comes to dope tracks. I also want to thank the people who make this possible behind the scenes. Today we have quite a number of them. First of all, Lampard Galava. He is an amazing person doing all various things. We have Abdi, who's going to be on the show. Trusilla is here. Oluwach Kariuki, Mr. Kinuthia SK, Kevin Mwalimu, Marcus Douglas, Shiru Mwangi, Mr. Maina Munene, who should definitely quit comedy. I think at this point in time, there's no need for us to lie to this man. This man just needs to go back.
Maina, creepy as shit. Maina, you rapey man, you.
Oh, man. Yeah, so...
He has a Bill Cosby vibe.
Yeah, it's giving Cosby.
I stayed with Maina, by the way.
Yeah?
I'm sorry to jump. I locked my door when I went to sleep.
Yes, that's
I
good.
left my stuff in the safe. Bro,
I always say this during shows. If you shook your hand, you need to count your fingers. That man cannot be trusted. Anyway, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. We look forward to seeing you at the shows anywhere on the continent. South Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, and beyond. We are doing the thing. This has been the Sit Down Stand-Ups by Punchline Comedy Club Nairobi. Gentlemen, asante sana for being here.
Hey,
let's see what the club's scene looks like tonight after that warning. But more than anything, I know for a fact that Fridays the freaks come out to play. So let's do this. Grace, count us out and take us home, please.